Here are a few ideas for putting peace in your life permanently. Thinking of yourself as a peaceful person is the first step, but it is only the first step. The thought must translate into action in order for you to know peace. Work at curbing your inclination to create confrontation and disruption in the lives of others. A simple practice of pausing and asking yourself whether your ego, which loves turmoil, or your higher self, which loves peace, is about to act. That pause will help you to send out a peaceful response even in situations where you are feeling impatient or misunderstood. In those situations, you will be able to state simply, for example, "You are really having a rough day," to a hassled clerk rather than, "I've been waiting for 15 minutes already and I'm really feeling abused." Send out peace by catching yourself and then consulting your loving presence for a response rather than relying on your ego. Practice releasing the emotions of fear and guilt and replacing them with love and forgiveness and kindness. Release the guilt by forgiving yourself and vowing to avoid that kind of conduct in the future. You do not need the guilt unless you're going to allow your ego to continue its dominance over your life forever. For example, make a list of all the things that keep you from loving yourself. Your list might include being overweight and jealous or nervous or addicted or incompetent or uncoordinated. Then, regardless of how much effort it takes, reverse your mental sentences and state that you love yourself while being fat, while being addicted, and so on. This will help you to feel peaceful about the choices you've made and to realize that you are not that body or those desires. You are the invisible chooser. As you become more peaceful with the chooser, you will begin to replace the unhealthy choice in a spirit of love. Examine everything that offends you and see if you can get your ego out of the picture. If hunger and starvation in the world offend you, try shifting to a new awareness. Somehow, in some way that I do not comprehend, these things occur in divine order, and so too does my desire to change it exist in divine order. Shed what offends you and act on your desire to make corrections. There will then be no need to fight. Similarly, if you find someone else's behavior offensive, you are interpreting that behavior from your own self-absorbed position, which is that they shouldn't act the way they do. You choose to be offended, hurt, or angry by their behavior. But they are acting the way they are. Your being offended is your ego talking to you to keep you anxious and upset. If you don't take it personally, and if you see the behavior for what it is, you can work to eradicate the evils of the world unimpeded by your ego's encouragement to be offended. Keep in mind that grievances bring turmoil, while communication brings peace. If you want peace in your life, rid yourself of your grievances. The way to shed these grievances is to let go of your own self-absorption and to practice forgiveness rather than revenge. As you let go, you will feel a sense of peace overtaking you. If you are angry towards someone in your life, no matter how difficult you may find it, work at communicating with that person about your aggrieved feelings. Your embarrassment or inner anguish over being wronged is just what your ego wants you to experience, since it will keep you away from your sacred quest and keep you in the clutches of your anxiety-loving ego. Keep this little sentence ready to consult. Judgment and peace are antithetical. A Course in Miracles says the strain of constant judgment is virtually intolerable. It is curious that an ability so debilitating would be so deeply cherished. You must make a daily effort to look upon others without condemnation. Every judgment takes you away from your goal of peace. Your ego loves your judgments because with them you remain in a constant state of anguish and remorse. Keep in mind that you do not define anyone with your judgment. You only define yourself as someone who needs to judge. Judging others with condemnation removes the possibility of your experiencing love. If you can practice just being still rather than condemning, you will get to the bliss I am talking about. You do not have to pretend that you love something that you loathe. Just get still and let the judgments subside. Peace is not found in being right or being hurt or being angry. By all means, work toward righting the wrongs you perceive, but do it with an understanding that an angry heart keeps you from knowing God on the path of your sacred quest. Peace will come to you when you are a healer rather than a judge. Essentially, embracing the truth is welcoming your higher self and coming to know God. All that is not authentic will drop away automatically. Your ego works hard to convince you that you are separate and better than everyone else, and you know that it does not take kindly to your embracing anything that threatens its existence. But remember that this is your inauthentic self, your false self. Deception is going to play a big role in your life when you embrace ego as your guide. Therefore, in order to abandon your reliance on that false self with all of its deception, you will have to make a new agreement with truth. I encourage you to actually write yourself a contract in which you agree to include truth as your companion in your thoughts, in your conversations, and in your life. This is a big challenge and perhaps difficult for you, but it is guaranteed to lead you to the path of your sacred self. Begin by looking honestly and fearlessly at who you are beneath all the surface trappings that you have surrounded yourself with. You have a human storyline, as does every person who has ever lived on this planet. That storyline begins with your conception, continues through your childhood, and all of your personal triumphs and tribulations, right up to this very moment. You know that there is an eternal aspect of you beneath the surface, and that for this part of you, only the truth will suffice.
If you wish to become a divine, immortal angel, that is, to live your life at meaning from a God-realized perspective, then restore the angelic qualities of your being through virtue and service. The Tao Te Ching, Te means virtue. This, and I underline this emphatically, this is the only way to gain the attention of the immortals who teach the methods of energy enhancement and integration that are necessary to reach the divine realm. This is the only way to gain the attention of the immortals, of the angels, of the divine intelligence, of that which has gone before you, of God, whatever you want to call it. You know that there's guidance out there. You know that when you have passion for something, that passion is really the presence of God within you. When you feel something so strongly that you can't ignore it, that you just have to be it. I hope you're thinking about what your calling is, just what it is, regardless of whether you've actualized it, fulfilled it, whether it's an empty pipe dream, whatever it is. Just think about it. Just think about it. What it is that you feel in here that just won't go away, that calls you to something. And if you want to gain the attention and get the help, the guidance that you want, this is what Carl Jung meant when he talked about synchronicity, that as you elevate, as you get closer and closer to this divine realm, what happens is that the right people suddenly began to start showing up. The right idea begins to come along. What I call in the film, the quantum moment begins to happen, that vivid, surprising, benevolent, enduring idea that comes to you. Now, how does the guidance get here? These angelic teachers cannot be sought out. In other words, you can sit here and meditate all day long and sit here and pray and hope and ask for the guidance of these teachers to come to you, and according to Lao Tzu, you'll never find them. The only way to gain the attention of the immortals who reach the methods of energy enhancement and integration is to start living your life through virtue and service. And when I made that shift and began to realize that my life was really about serving, because that's all you can do. If you can imagine God with hands, just try to imagine God with hands. And ask yourself, what does God do with his hands? What is the only thing that God can do with his hands? The God that you know. The Tao, the source that is responsible for all of creation and welcomes all of creation back. What does God do with God's hands? Creation is already complete, as you'll hear this afternoon. It's already complete. And it's just constantly giving, isn't it? It's just about giving. Does God ever say, I want something back from you? Yeah. I give you life, you got to give me this. But God just says, here is life, here are the birds, here are the trees, here's the sky, here's the water, here's the ocean, here's the universe, here it is. What do I want back? Nothing. Hafiz, the great Persian poet, said, even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Just think what a love like that can do. It lights up the whole world. It almost sounds too simple, but when I made that shift, it started chasing after me. And it always has chased after me, but my ego would get in the way. and think that this was about me. But when I really was able to suspend that ego, these angelic teachers cannot be sought out. It is they who seek out the students. Now here it comes. This is the part that blows me away. I've been leading up to this. When you succeed in connecting your energy, who you are, with the divine realm, which is what this whole program has been about, reconnecting you to the divine realm, the one that you originated from, the one to which you will return, through higher awareness and the practice of undiscriminating virtue, which is what the Tao Te Ching is, the transmission of the ultimate subtle truths will follow. This is the path that all angels take to the divine realm. That all of those of us who would like to get to this place of living a life of meaning, this is the path that they take. When you succeed in allowing yourself to live from a place of higher awareness, the ego and higher awareness can't coexist. Eckhart Tolle writes a lot about this. Higher awareness is really thinking like God thinks. That's all you have to do. You have to send away all blame for everything in your life. All right? All blame must go. You can't be blaming anything that's going on in your life. Your birth order, it doesn't matter whether you're the youngest, the oldest, the middle child. It's like wherever you are is where you were supposed to be. And if your parents did anything, you remind yourself that they did what they knew how to do. You can't ask any more of anyone. And forgive them, whatever it is. Whoever in your life is causing any dissonance, any anguish, any pain, whoever they are, any grudges that you've had, any anger that you're holding on to, anything that's lasted a long time, forgive. And if you keep that in mind and take all the blame out and say, I created who I am. My personality is who I chose. If I have been shy, I didn't inherit shy genes. I have been making shy choices. I am not a nervous person. I have been making nervous choices. I am not a person who's not good at selling. I have been making non-selling choices. Just for a moment, just take a couple of minutes and just kind of calm yourself down and try this with me. Just try it. Hold your hand out if you want to. I mean, however you want to do it. And picture in your hand a lemon. Kind of close your eyes if you want to and listen to my instructions. And take the lemon and feel the texture of the lemon. And open your eyes and look at it. See if you can see a lemon there. See if you can see the little bumps that are on a lemon. See if you can see the little green nub on one end and how it comes to sort of a little point at the other end. And feel it. And feel a little bit of the moisture almost that's on the skin. Just practice for a second. Just take a knife, a paring knife, your favorite knife, and just cut it right down the center, right in half. Right? Just kind of slice it in your hand. And then take the pointy-ended side and put it away. And then take the other half of the lemon and look at it. And run your finger along the top of it and feel the moisture. Can you feel that? Now take the lemon, and as you hold it and see that lemon, just move it up close to your nose so that you can smell it. Just bring it right up and smell the fragrance of it. See if you can actually smell the citric acid. Now hold it close to your nose. Now take it back down. Now open up your mouth and take the lemon and move it up close to your mouth, as close as you can get it, and take a bite right out of it. Go ahead, just take a bite out of it. Now what's happening in your mouth right now? Okay. Do you have saliva in your mouth? Most of you have. You're going to get a little more in about another 5 seconds. You feel the saliva coming into your mouth? Why is saliva coming into your mouth? Because citric acid is attacking your mouth right now. And the only defense you have against citric acid in the billions of years of evolution that have produced you is saliva. Saliva goes into your mouth to fight it. It's still there, isn't it? Mouth kind of dry. You feel it? That's visualization. It's nothing difficult. There's nothing complex about it. That's what hypnotism is.
The importance of visualization for me in imagery can be related to almost every single thing that you do in life. If you're a salesperson and you visualize a sale not working out, or even if you have that thought that that person probably won't want to buy this thing from me, or they won't want to close on this deal that we have agreed to, if you think that way and visualize it that way, you're creating the opportunity for you to have exactly that happen to you. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you see it in your mind as working out, closing the deal, getting someone to buy the product, whatever it is, and if you're selling brake linings to a hardware store, and you can see the brake linings on their shelf, and you can see the receipt, and you can practice that image and see it, and then operate on that image. If it doesn't work out, let's start from that premise. You say, all right, instead of, see, this guy's wrong, I knew that this karma stuff, and I don't want to hear any more of this stuff. You don't do that. You say, there's something in this for me. It's not supposed to be working out right now. I wonder what I can do to learn from that. Let me re-examine it. Let me look at it. You don't blame anybody else, all right? Blame must go. If you are going into a tax audit and you believe that it's not going to work out, you are going to act out on that auditing image that you have in your mind. And you will not prepare yourself in the same way as if you believe that you're not going to have to pay more taxes and that you've been an honest taxpayer and that you filled out your forms properly and that you are entitled to not have to pay additional taxes, and that's how you're going to operate. And you get an accountant who believes that as well, and you go in from that premise, you'll find yourself having much, much less difficulty than if you go in saying, they're going to look through my records, it's going to take 2 days, they have no right to go through all of these things, I hate it when they do this, and you go through this whole process. You are creating what it is that you don't want for yourself, because you're going to operate and behave on the basis of whatever image you have. If you believe it's going to be nasty, you're going to start behaving in ways to have that outcome come about. If you want to get a parking place, you can image yourself seeing one. Instead of looking for no place to park, you begin to see yourself as having one. If you want to have health, you begin to see yourself looking and feeling and acting the way you want to, and never detracting from that picture. And you can make that happen for yourself in your life. If you don't want negative things to go on in your life, then practice visualizing and having positive affirmations toward the things that you previously thought negatively about. Your thought processes create the images that you have. Those images create the behavior, and you can't back one up from the other unless you're willing to think that it's going to work out, and that's the premise you're operating from. That's a very important point for people if they want to be enlightened. If you believe that it's going to work out, then you'll start to see opportunities. If you don't, then you'll see obstacles.